Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of PAOK Talk. I'll be your host for today, as Angelo unfortunately can't be with us. Never mind, we'll push on without him, and we'll probably honestly have a better time without him. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by our resident Dutch football expert. He's here to help me preview the upcoming Europa League match against PSV. Niko, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Jono. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm
No,
delighted to be part of it.
no worries. Thank you. I know it's quite late in Holland now, so we thank you for staying up and appreciate your time. So let's just get into it. So you obviously have said that you're a follower of Dutch football and you follow PSV, most weeks. So what can you tell us about their season so far in Holland and what type of form they're in?
Well, they began very good. Three decent wins. Then they got a little bit sloppy. They drew away at Heracles Almelo. They lost to Vitesse, the former club of Maglas.
Hmm.
And well, last week they won 4-0. So they are at third place at this moment, and they are well the typical contender for the Dutch title.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you about because I know the last couple of years Ajax has kind of dominated Dutch football. I know the previous season didn't get completed due to COVID, so they are contending for the title this season.
Yes, they do. They're trailing just 3 points, and in Holland it's a bit weird. They with the COVID case, they thought, well, let's all the big clubs play against each other after the Christmas break,
Hmm.
so that could be uh, fans at games. But well, it didn't work out very well till now.
Yeah.
That well, they are only playing the smaller teams.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they're trying to maximize the crowd. Well, obviously, we know the COVID cases are getting worse across Europe, and that's the case with PSV. So they have quite a few players that have tested positive for COVID, and are missing players heading into this game at Dubai. Is that correct?
Yes, they have a lot of injured players, but also a lot of players with COVID. So they won't be as competitive as they could be, but they will. Well, they still have a decent team left.
So in terms of these players that are out, are these guys starters? Are they guys that they're going to miss, or are they not going to make too much of a difference to PSV starting
No,
11?
there is quite a few starters and also international players like Denzel Dumfries, who doesn't play. Um, well, also some minor players like the third keeper, etc. But there are some good players that are missing in the starting lineup.
Okay. So that obviously, I mean, it's not good that they have COVID, but that can in from looking at it through a bulk lens, it can obviously benefit us to have obviously if they're missing some of their key players. So considering these outs, are you? I mean, I assume that PSV are a team that bosses the ball, they dominate possession. So considering the outs, should we expect them to come to Duba and continue to dominate the ball, or do you think that they'll be happy to sit back and maybe play a little bit more on the counter?
No, they want to be dominating the game. They want full control, and I think that's going to suit us very well. Like the game with Granada, we don't like playing with ammonia,
Hmm.
parking the bus, and they won't park the bus at Tumba.
Okay, well, yeah, then that'll definitely suit us. I do agree with that. It'll be interesting to see though. It suited us under Ferreira and that system, the 3-4-3 or the 5-2-3, however you want to say it, that he played definitely suited playing on the counter. But obviously under Garcia, we've only seen the one game, so it'll be interesting to see how Garcia adapts to a game where we don't have possession. And if we look as dangerous on the counter, I mean, it's something that we're not going to know until we have a couple games like that. But I do agree with what you say in that playing on the counter suits us. And we saw against Granada, we looked a whole lot more dangerous than we did against Omonia. So that's something interesting to look forward to. So PSV, obviously you watch most weeks. Is there any obvious weaknesses in their normal play? Any one of the back four that's a little bit weak defensively, or something that Balkan will look to exploit, in your opinion?
Well, as I see them playing, their center backs, they're Achilles heel. There we can catch them, but I think that's the only positions where they are very weak at this moment.
So in your opinion, would Cholak or Svidevski be the best to potentially exploit that position, or someone else maybe?
Well, I think Swiderski should start, but that's up to Pablo. I think Cholak hasn't adapted very good to the team yet, and Swiderski does.
Hmm.
But there are possibilities up there. The only thing I'm afraid of with PSV is that they have a lot of speed in front, like Iataren, like Donjan Malen. They're very fast, and I think what is for PSV is also for PAOK. Our central defenders are a little bit slow.
Hmm. Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see. So then, considering they have that pace, do you think? And again, we've only seen Garcia for one game, so we're not sure what type of manager he is. Do you think that playing a 5-2-3 or a back five would be more suited to this game, in your opinion, or do you think we should stick with the 4-2-3-1?
No, I think we should start with five defenders. I think that's better.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and it's something that I think I'm going to discuss a little bit later. But yeah, Garcia, we don't know what type of manager he is. If he's one to stick to his formation, or if he's going to be one to change his formation depending on the opponent. But yeah, it's something that I agree with. I mean, I think the back five worked quite well against in big games in derbies. So I would agree with that. Without having seen a lot of PSV, I would think that in a game where we're not going to have the ball, a back five makes sense. But I'm not. Without having seen it, I'm not going to judge. So we'll wait to see what happens on Thursday night. And yeah, so all that said, Nico, what's your prediction for the match in terms of a score and a result?
Well, I'm confident for this game, and I think we'll win just 1-0. Some lousy goal in the 80th minute or so.
You know what? Any lousy goal, any goal is fine with me as long as we get the win. I like your confidence. I'm with you. I have a good feeling about this game. I don't know if we still have that good feeling, that good bounce from Pablo Garcia being appointed. But yeah, I am feeling positive. I think we'll win too. I think I'll go for a 2-1. But yeah, I mean 3 points is important given that we drew to Omonia, which in the on the first game, which was an important game to win. So we have to win one of these
It
two
is.
against PSV. Do you see us? So you obviously see us coming out of with 3 points. Um, yeah, so it's really important for that aspect. Do you give us a chance in a couple of weeks in Holland, or do you think it'll be much tougher?
No, I think it will be the same. That there is not the crowd that is involved in these games. Tumba is empty. It's a pity, but I think and PSV and PAOK will play the same game, both games.
Yep, for sure. Okay, Nico, we're nearly out of time for today. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? So you obviously live in Holland. Have you moved there from Greece?
Well, I'm 53 years old. I'm living in the suburb of Rotterdam.
Hmm.
My father went to Holland to work here, and he's still here around
Hmm.
after more than 50 years.
Wow.
I'm married. I have three sons, and I still play football myself.
Oh, wow. That,
Well, not now, but because everything has been suspended here for the amateur teams.
hmm.
But okay, when we can go back to the fields, I will be playing football again. I hope.
Well, that's awesome. Good on you for continuing to play. And I'm guessing you're a PAOK fan through your father.
Yes, my father doesn't like football, so it was a bit uh, awkward how I became a football fan. Uh, I remember I was about 6 years old, and we were walking down the street somewhere in Kilkies,
Hmm.
and my father gave me the Rivière Vanilla from
Hmm.
PAOK, and oh, it stick.
Ah, there you
And
go.
since then, I'm a PAOK fan.
Well, there you go. Some things are just written in the stars, eh?
Well, it's yeah, it's it. You can't explain it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I have to mention when I met my wife,
Hmm.
uh, we were playing 6 weeks later against KV Mechelen, Malin, the most Greek call it, and
Hmm.
she traveled with me to Belgium.
Oh wow.
So my wife, the kids, all are PAOK fans too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, good on you and good on your family for continuing to follow PAOK from Holland. It's great that us who don't live in Greece can come together and discuss games and upcoming games and all that. I think it really keeps us all connected, especially during these times where so many things are closed and, like you say, amateur football isn't being played around the world.
Yes,
So, Nico, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we appreciate you staying up. Thank you for your preview and your insight into the PSV squad. Fingers crossed for a good game, and we'd be happy to have you back on Park Talk anytime.
you're welcome, Jono, and thank you, and have a good show further on.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Okay, bye.
So we thank Nico again for joining us and really appreciate his insight into the PSV game. So again, with no Angelo, I'm just gonna go on a little bit by myself. I apologize if you guys are sick of my voice today, but we don't have a choice, unfortunately, given that Angelo has decided that he has more important things to do. So I just quickly wanted to touch on the Panatolikos game, which was, I mean, a good result, an important result to get the win. Pablo Garcia's first game, so hopefully this goes down as the first of many for him, and he can have a successful run as manager. So I thought we had a great start. The first 25 minutes, we looked like a completely different team compared to the one under Ferreira. We were very fluent in attack. Plenty of movement in and around the box, which was great to see, and just numbers getting into the box and supporting the attack. I think it was clear that we tried to win the game in the first 25 minutes. So basically, to be 2 or 3 goals up, which we probably should have been. Then thereafter that, I think fatigue became a factor. There was a big drop off by everyone, players included, just making mistakes, looking very lax on the ball. And I think that was definitely due to fatigue, coming off the Europa League game against Granada, which was, despite a 0-0, it was a tough slog. So, we were looking like we were going to end up in having another draw, but then a brilliant goal off the bench, fantastic goal. He's a dead ball specialist. It's something we knew about him when he arrived from Georgia. And that's been a real gripe of mine, has been our set piece deliveries, be it from corners or free kicks. And Ninoa, obviously, we saw what he did. We know that he took the corners and free kicks for his previous team. So, I mean, you don't start a guy just for that reason, but is it something that needs to be considered moving forward? We really struggle with set pieces and with dead balls. So, it might be something that we need to consider, especially considering Garcia now has switched to a 4-2-3-1. So, he's going to have three in midfield. So, I mean, it's not just about free kicks, but it's something that I think will be considered, considering our poor dead balls in general. So something that we need to improve on, and something where Nunoa scored, one of the goals of the season really to win us the game, can definitely help in that department. We Angelo and I discussed in the previous episode the importance of Cholak getting off the mark, and he managed to do that in the 95th minute with a penalty. Um, it was the keeper made a good fist of. He got two hands to it and nearly kept it out, but very important for Cholak. We know he's had his troubles adapting to the team. Um, Hopefully, the change in manager and the change in system will help him. But just mentally for him, I think grabbing a goal, however it came, was hugely important. Had it been saved, I can't imagine mentally what that would have done to him, and it might have been a tough couple of weeks coming up for him. But it went in. So for a striker, goals are everything. So very important, and we congratulate Cholak on his first goal with Bulk. the other thing too, and I just mentioned this with Nico when we were discussing the PSV game, was I'm curious to see what Garcia does going into games, into derbies, and into games where we will play second fiddle and the other team will dominate the ball. So, will he stick to the 4-2-3-1, or will he revert back to a back five when playing in those games? In my opinion, I think that the back five was good against in games like that. We counted well. We had the wing backs. Yanulis is fantastic on the break. We had the players and the wing backs to really trouble teams when they were stretched. So I think it's something worth considering. I know not too many managers in world football though tend to alter their formation. They tend to just stick to their main formation. But in my opinion, it's a sign of a good coach if they're able to change tactics and adapt a little bit to the opponent. And I think it's just a reality of being a club like PAOK. I mean, you're not going to be dominating the ball every single game. There are teams in Europe that are gonna take possession from us. So that's something to look out for, and I think it'll start with PSV this week because that's the type of game where they will dominate the ball. You would think, as Nico told us earlier. So interesting to see what he does with the formation and a couple of the player selections. I mean, Vaguer got the start at right back. Wasn't he wasn't great. Still looks like he's finding his feet. So whether it's him or Rodrigo, again midfield does Ninua start. So there'll be a couple of interesting things in terms of team selection and formation for sure. So that's all we have time for today. Bit of a short episode, obviously without our without our captain and our host Angelo here. But what, I've quite enjoyed running the show. I might keep him off for another week and might do it again myself. We'll see how we go. But thank you everyone for listening to this different episode of Bulk Talk. Hope you enjoyed listening. We thank you. If you could subscribe and like, as always, it would be a big, big help. And we'll speak to you again soon.